2015 alone, over $120 billion worth of diamonds were exported around the world. And to manage the massive value of these tiny stones, the industry relies on paper certificates and receipts, which can be easily lost or tampered with. In an industry with a real risk of fraud and a history of human rights abuse, understanding the origin and authenticity of diamonds is paramount. A system to do that, being developed by technologists right here in London, is one example of the innovations being created using the technology behind Bitcoin. Now, some of you may know Bitcoin as a digital currency used for trading, or maybe you've heard it's been used to purchase illicit goods on the dark web. In exploring emerging technologies, one of my favorite aspects is when I get to look at how technology can be used to benefit society. And while Bitcoin as a digital currency is really interesting, the applications of its core technology extend much further. So in exploring the benefits, I'd like to talk to you about the technology underlying Bitcoin, blockchain. This technology may not only change how we transfer value, but could dramatically shift our systems of trade, identity, and governance. And one of the aspects that's most interesting is how it can make these systems more transparent. Now, blockchain systems are often considered technical and complicated to explain. So to try to broadly explain the concept here, I'd like to talk to you about marbles. So imagine all of us here trades marbles, but in our marble trading world, we're starting to see a few issues. Some people have been trading and stealing other people's marbles. Some people have been trying to trade the same marble to two people. So we decided to resolve these kinds of disputes, we need a type of system. So we went to the traditional systems. We asked our friend Tommy if he can keep track and keep a ledger of those transactions. But suddenly Tommy finds that people have been offering him bribes to change that database, or they're trying to hack into his computer. And also Tommy's only human, so sometimes he just makes mistakes. So we decide that together we need to come up with a new system. And we each start taking note of every trade. Once a minute, we fill a page, send what we think has happened to everyone else, and as a group, we agree what trades took place. We continue to do this minute after minute, noting and agreeing these trades, gradually building up a shared record book where we know the data recorded is what should be there. This record book shows every transaction that has ever happened in chronological order, and we each hold an exact copy of it. Because of the way the pages are bound together, trying to go back and change past trades would be practically impossible. And because we each hold a copy of it, we would know if something went wrong. This shared record book is essentially a blockchain. A blockchain is a distributed, immutable ledger, or record of transactions. Distributed means that it's shared and stored in multiple locations, removing a single point of failure and providing visibility across multiple participants. Immutable means that it's near impossible to go back and change the past records once they have been agreed by the participants and secured using cryptography. From there, there's a number of different ways that you can design blockchain systems. They can be public, meaning the ledger is openly available for anyone to view online, or private, visible only to certain participants. There can be different ways of achieving consensus or agreeing how trades get added to the record book. And some systems, like Bitcoin, are decentralized, meaning there's no single owner or controller of the ledger. Now, to put it very simply, a blockchain is essentially a shared database. I realize this may not sound revolutionary at first, but it's a new type of shared database, one which allows us to link data together in a provable way. By its design, blockchain technology means no longer having to blindly trust third parties. Instead, they're replaced by mathematics and shared software. Blockchain technology can remove the middleman. It enables the sharing of information in a secure way, and it provides a single point of truth, but without having to rely on a single entity to ensure that truth. Considering we're living in a post-truth world, having a verifiable source of truth, which isn't controlled by any one party, could be extremely important. When I started to immerse myself in the blockchain space, I had a sense of déjà vu. It brought me back to the early 90s when I started using the internet. Not yet user-friendly and mainly frequented by a mix of academics and nerds, but we were also a growing community who shared a common belief that this technology, though not yet well understood by everyone, should be open and accessible to all. Blockchain shares similar ideological underpinnings, built around the desire to give individuals back control. In the first instance, to free themselves from having to trust the banks and governments who have repeatedly breached that trust. The recent example of the global financial crisis coincided, and many think not coincidentally, with the launch of Bitcoin in 2009. Blockchain technology not only puts more power back in the hands of individuals, but by design, it provides unprecedented opportunity for transparency. And why is this important? Transparency and freedom of information are increasingly being recognized as a human right. They address this imbalance of power in which we have access to very little information about governments or corporations, but thanks to our dependency on our mobile phones, we hand them over, whether we know it or not, and completely free of charge, nearly every data point in our daily lives. Transparency allows us to hold these governments and corporations to account and helps to expose corruption, an issue which costs the global economy as much as $2 trillion every year and undermines our trust in our political and economic systems and institutions. Blockchain technology was born out of this lack of trust, and it's a tool for this transparency.